Once upon a time, in a quiet village in Sokoto, there lived a girl named Farida. She was a beautiful 9-year-old girl, full of life and questions. Unlike her siblings, Farida was bold. She was curious, restless. She often wandered off to places her parents warned her not to go. Since Farida doesn't listen, her mother will complain to her friends. All she ever talks about is school. Can you imagine? A small girl like that, dreaming of books, inside Alhaji Danjuma's compound. Her friends will laugh, but one of them gave a suggestion that stuck. Why don't you marry her off? The friend said. She's 9 already. Let her learn as a wife. That will tame her. Not long after, her mother brought it up with Farida's father. Together, they found a match. Alhaji Sani, her father's wealthy boss. Since the day Farida was born, Alhaji Sani had shown interest in her. He would often gift her father extra money and say, buy something for my beautiful wife Farida. Farida's father saw the marriage as a gift, a direct connection to his boss, and possibly a promotion at work. The man is a very good man, her mother said. Even though you'll be his 9th wife, he's rich. He will take care of you. He may even send you to school. But Farida didn't want to be anybody's wife, more so the 9th one. She wanted school. She dreamed of wearing a uniform, carrying books and reading English like the women on NTA News. At night, she would stare at the stars and whisper to herself, one day I'll go to school. I'll wear glasses. I'll carry a laptop. I won't end like this. But the pressure grew heavier. One morning, she overheard her father laughing with Alhaji Sani outside. She stood behind the curtain listening. Her heart pounded and something inside her broke. That night, with the help of a neighbor, Farida ran away. She didn't know where she was going, but her neighbor knew someone, a woman in the east who needed a live-in house help. The woman had promised to send the girl to school in exchange for her services. It sounded like a miracle. Farida was thrilled. That's how she found herself in Onitsha. My name is Auntie Gloria, the woman said, dragging her small bag into the house. I just gave birth to twins and I need help around the house. I hope it's something you can handle. Farida nodded eagerly. I heard you want to go to school, Auntie Gloria asked. Yes, ma, she answered. What class are you in? Farida paused for a moment. I've never been to school before, she said. Auntie Gloria stared at her, shocked. What? You're 9 years and you've never stepped into a classroom? Are you sure you will cope? Farida nodded again. Then you have to start from primary 1. No problem, Auntie, Farida said, eyes shining in excitement. And just like that, Farida moved into Auntie Gloria's house. But what she found there was not kindness. Yes, she was enrolled in public school, but everything else was suffering. She cleaned, cooked, and did house chores from morning till night. She slept on a tin mat outside. Her clothes were always old. Her stomach empty. Sometimes she ate once a day, sometimes not at all. If she made a mistake, Auntie Gloria beat her up with mopsticks. Other times, she would slap her and shout, you this ungrateful girl, is it not school you want? Am I not sending you? But even the simplest of chores, you will never do them correctly. You better behave yourself before I send you back. Farida never replied. She simply wiped her tears and endured. And sometimes in the quiet of the night, lying on her tin mat beneath the stars, she would whisper, God, please give me strength to endure. Auntie Gloria was a devoted churchgoer. She never missed a service. She was a senior usher at Christ Restored Gospel Church and wore her church badge like a crown. On Sundays, she arrived before anyone else and didn't return until evening. Because of this, Farida, though born a Muslim, began to follow her to church. Not by choice, but because she had to carry the twins and sit with them during the service while Auntie Gloria worked. The songs were strange, the prayers loud, the preaching even confused her. She didn't know what to believe anymore. Years passed. Farida was now 19 in SS2, but the suffering had not stopped. In fact, it had worsened. Auntie Gloria's husband had suffered a stroke. He was bedridden and needed round-the-clock care. And just like that, Farida's education ended. You have to pause school for now, Auntie Gloria told her. Stay at home, and take care of my husband. When God restores him, you can continue your schooling. But even as a caregiver, Farida still washed, cooked, cleaned, and still got punished on top of it. The day that everything changed came unexpectedly. Farida had woken up feeling weak and lightheaded. Her body ached, but she still cleaned the room and made breakfast for the house. By afternoon, she was feeling very dizzy, and so she lay on a mat and dozed off. She didn't hear her name when it was called. When Auntie Gloria returned from the market, her husband complained that he hadn't eaten since morning. He said Farida ignored him when he was calling her. In seconds, Auntie Gloria stormed into the backyard and began shouting, "You wicked soul! After everything I've done for you, how could you be this heartless? You know my husband is not feeling fine just to serve him food, food! And you know how he is. How lazy can you be, eh?" Before Farida could even explain, Auntie Gloria reached for the bag and threw it at her. And then the words that ended everything. "I've had enough of your nonsense in this house. Leave my house now!" Farida couldn't believe it. She stood outside the gate pleading with Auntie Gloria for hours, but she continued shouting at her. "You are too lazy. You're a wicked soul. I can't live with you anymore. I've tried. Go back, oh, go back to Sokoto." It was getting dark when Farida finally decided to leave, holding a nylon bag with her and her few belongings. She had no money, no plan, no place to sleep. She was just walking down the street staring blankly at nothing. That was when she saw him. A man in a neatly ironed shirt holding a brown envelope walking back towards a parked car across the road. She recognized him immediately. Pastor Tochi. He was one of the teenagers pastors in their church. He had preached to them a few times. His voice was calm but powerful. He always smiled. But today he looked like he was in a hurry. Farida gathered her courage. "Excuse me, sir," she said, running to him. He turned, looked at her, then stopped closer. "I know you. You're Farida, right? From teen section of the church." She nodded, trying hard not to cry. "Yes, sir. Please, sir. I need your help, sir." She told him everything. The escape from the home, the beatings, the hunger, the stroke of the husband, every single thing. Then she said, "Sir, please, I don't know if you can help me with transport. I need transport to go back home. That's all." Pastor Tochi looked at her with concern. "You want to go back to where you escaped from? Are you sure your parents will accept you?" Farida hesitated, then shook her head. "No, sir. Actually, I don't want to go back because I know my father. He will not even allow me to come home. But I don't have anywhere else to go to." He stood there silent for a moment. Then he spoke. "Get into the car." He didn't take her to the park. He took her to a fast food restaurant down the road. He bought her rice and chicken and sat with her. "So tell me, Farida, what do you want to do with your life? What is your plan?" Farida didn't even wait. She started, "I want to write WAEC and JAMB, sir. I want to go to the university. Sir, I don't know if I can work for you. I could be your cleaner or messenger or anything. Just anything so that I can raise money for my education." He smiled faintly. "Can you work as a secretary in my law firm?" Farida's eyes widened. Yes sir, I can. I'm not so good with computers, but I learn very fast." That day, Pastor Tochi took her to a small one-room apartment with a mattress, a fan and a fridge. It was an exclusive space with its own gate. "You can stay here until we figure things out. It's one of the houses I'm managing," he said. He paid for her WAEC and JAMB forms and also gave her the job as a secretary. The house was not very far from the office, and she was registered for preparatory WAEC lessons. During the day, she worked as his secretary. In the evening, she attended lessons. For the first time in her life, Farida began to feel like her prayers had been answered. She had no idea her real trial was only just beginning. Farida didn't know how to say thank you. Not just with her mouth, but with her life. Everything felt new, strange, beautiful. The first night in her new room, she sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the white ceiling. There was no one shouting. No crying twins, no footsteps dragging a mop stick or screaming at her. It was just her and the sound of the humming fan. She wept quietly that night, but it was a different kind of crying. This time it was relief. Pastor Tochi was kind, strict but kind. He ran a small law firm with 3 other lawyers and 1 front desk staff. Farida worked as his secretary, answering calls, arranging files, keeping track of cases and greeting clients. She wasn't perfect. She made mistakes, but she learned fast. And every time she got something wrong, Pastor Tochi would smile gently and say, "Don't worry, you will get it next time." She liked working there. The office was peaceful. The people were nice. They called her Fari and treated her with respect. Sometimes she would pass by the mirror and not recognize the girl staring back at her. Her skin color had color again. Her eyes had life. Her smile wasn't broken. Every evening after work, she attended WAEC and JAM preparatory classes. On Saturdays, she volunteered at the church for the teens programs, helping set up chairs, cleaning up and decorating the pulpit. Church was different now. It no longer felt confusing or loud. She listened more. She prayed. She even joined the teenagers' choir, though she barely attended midweek meetings. Sometimes, Pastor Tochi would drop her off after church meetings and check if she had eaten. "Hope you are managing well," he asked once. "Yes, sir," she smiled. "More than well." He even gave her an extra allowance from time to time, telling her not to mention it at the office. "I just want you to focus on passing your exams, okay?" he said. Farida would return home and kneel beside her bed every night. "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for this wonderful boss you gave me. I don't know what I did to deserve him. Thank you so much." One day, she passed her mock test with a very high score. She rushed to the office early the next morning, clutching the paper. She waited for Pastor Tochi to arrive. When he entered, she ran to the door like a little sister. Sir, I passed my exams. Look, I got an A in maths." He took the paper, read it, and smiled proudly. "You see what happens when you're determined? Farida, I'm so proud of you." That moment stayed with her for days. It was the first time anyone had ever said those words to her. Weeks passed. WAEC exams came and went. Farida gave it her all. Each day, she grew more confident. She had goals, she had direction. Sometimes she even caught herself laughing out loud at jokes the office staff told. Everything was finally coming together, and the man who made it all possible, she respected him, trusted him. If anyone had asked her, she would have said, "Pastor Tochi is like a father to me." But life has a way of flipping pages when you least expect it. And very soon, the same man who gave her hope will be the one to crush her innocence. After Farida finished her WAEC, she now worked full-time at Pastor Tochi's law office. She had passed her WAEC with flying colors, but her job was not so good, and so Pastor Tochi had advised her to apply for admission in any of the private polytechnics within Onitsha. Farida had submitted her application and waited for more than 6 months with no reply. But one day, as she was walking to work, she got a text. "Congratulations! You've been offered admission to study accounting at Gozie Anyachebelu Polytechnic Onitsha." She couldn't believe it. She read the message twice, then screamed. She literally ran to work in excitement. "Jesus, I got it, she screamed at the co-workers. Immediately, Pastor Tochi walked into his office. She rushed in to tell him. He didn't say much at first. He looked at her, nodded slowly and said, "I told you, you were going places. Congratulations, my daughter." Then he did something he had never done before. He hugged her. It was brief, maybe 2 seconds, but his hand stayed on her back a little longer than they should have. Farida noticed, but she told no one. She thought it was nothing. With admission came a new chapter. She began attending lectures at God's Poly and now worked only part-time at the law office. Despite the change, Pastor Tochi remained involved in her life. He gave her money, bought textbooks for her, even surprised her one day with a new Android phone. "You need it for online lectures and assignments," he said. Farida was deeply grateful. "Thank you, sir. I'll pay you back someday." "Don't be silly," he replied with a soft smile. "Just focus on doing well in your academics, okay?" But then, things began to shift. Slowly, gently, almost invisibly, it began with compliments. Farida, you're no longer that small girl I used to know. You've become such a beautiful woman. If I wasn't your pastor, eh? She would laugh nervously, but inside, she felt something tighten. Then came the teasing. Ah, Farida, you have a boyfriend now. I hope those gospelly boys know I'll sue them if they ever touch you. Tell them I'm watching you. He would wink and laugh, and she would smile. But something inside her was shifting. Sometimes he would call her at night. I'm just calling to check in. Other times, he would ask her to send a selfie when in class, so he would see how school life was treating her. One Saturday, she came to drop some case files at his house. He wasn't back yet, so she waited on the porch. When he finally drove in, he was cheerful. Ah, Farida, you shouldn't be standing outside. Come in. My wives and kids traveled though. He continued as if he was asked. They went for a wedding in Abuja. Please come in, he said, signaling her to follow him. She followed him into the sitting room. It was quiet. He poured her a drink and said, You look stressed. Sit down, relax a bit. Then casually he sat beside her, close, too close. He reached out, touched her neck and smiled. You've grown into a real lady. Farida froze. She forced a smile, stood up. Sir, I should be going. I have a test tomorrow. All right, he said lightly. I will send your transport money. She didn't say anything to anyone, not because she didn't feel it, but because she didn't understand what to call it. This was the same man who changed her life, who paid for her education, who gave her a room when she had no home, and who was taking care of her upkeep and tuition at school. How could she accuse him of anything? Maybe she was just reading meaning into things that didn't even exist. She convinced herself it was nothing. But deep inside, her peace had started to fade. She still smiled though, still thanked him, but whenever he walked into a room now, her body became tense. And though her eyes still lit up in class, her spirit had started to dim. In school, Farida was the quiet one. She didn't wear flashy clothes. She didn't keep many friends. She came to school, took her notes and left. But everyone still noticed her because there was something about her that stood out. She was calm, focused, respectful and intelligent. And she carried herself like someone who had seen things because she had actually. Her closest friend was Chioma, a playful, outspoken girl from Newi who sat beside her in most lectures. Chioma didn't know everything about Farida's past, but she knew enough to be protective of her. So one afternoon, when Farida came to school in a new gown, holding a takeaway pack and a new phone, Chioma raised an eyebrow. Babe, what is happening? What do you mean? Farida asked, opening her notes. This your glow up is not ordinary. Tell me, who is sponsoring all this? Farida laughed it off. He's nobody, oh. He's my boss. Chioma paused. Your boss? Yes. And he's also my pastor. I work part-time for him. Okay, oh, boss. But why does he always call and ask you to send pictures in class? Is that part of the job description? Or is his mind going somewhere else? The words hit Farida like cold water. Chioma, he's a man of God. Chioma raised her hands playfully. No vex, so I just asked holy questions. But something shifted in Farida's eyes, and for the rest of the lecture, she didn't say a word. Things got worse after that. At the office, Pastor Tochi began acting more familiar. He started calling her my beautiful girl instead of Farida. Sometimes when the other staff had gone home, he would ask her to sit in his office. Just sit here with me for a few minutes, he would say. I've had a stressful day. He would pat his lap lightly and joke. Come and sit here, Jerry. I don't bite. Farida would laugh nervously. No, sir. I'm fine where I am. Sometimes he would insist, and sometimes she gave in. It made her feel ashamed but confused. She didn't want it, but she didn't know how to say no. Not to him. One evening, after working late, he offered to drop her off. In the car, he played soft music and talked about random things, politics, youth, the church board. Then suddenly he went quiet. You know, I've done a lot of things for you, Farida. She turned to him slowly. Yes, sir, and I'm very grateful. You are more than just a staff to me. Oh. Hope you know. You are very special. Farida didn't know what to say. He continued. You see, I could send you abroad, help you start a better life if you would cooperate with me. Her hands began to tremble slightly. Sir, I don't understand, sir. He smiled without looking at her. Don't worry, you will in time. That night, Farida couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned on her small mattress, her phone face down beside her. Her thoughts were loud. He's been good to me. I owe him so much. But why does it feel like something is wrong? Is it me? Maybe I'm the ungrateful one. The next time she saw Chioma, she didn't say much. She just sat beside her in class and quietly took notes. But Chioma was watching. Farida, are you okay? She nodded too quickly. I'm fine. But her eyes told a different story. And one day, it finally happened. It was a rainy evening. Everyone had gone home from the office. The cleaner had locked the front door. Farida was gathering her bag when Pastor Tochi called from his office. Farida, come here for a second. She hesitated. Sir, I was just about to. Just a second, don't worry, come. She entered quietly. He was behind his desk pretending to read a file. Sit down. She obeyed. He didn't speak for a while, just looked at her, then softly. Farida, do you know how special you are to me? She nodded slowly. Yes, sir. He stood, walked around the desk, sat beside her too close again. You've grown into a beautiful woman, he whispered, touching her face and her neck. His hand rested on her shoulder. Then it moved again. She froze. Her throat was dry, her body stiff. Sir, please don't. What is wrong with you? Why are you this ungrateful after everything? Haven't I tried enough for you? This little favor I'm asking you, he said as he continued touching her. Please, sir, please. I appreciate all you've done for me, but please, sir, please. But he didn't listen to her. He opened up his zipper and had his way with her. When it was over, she sat on the office chair, staring at the floor. Her blouse was rumpled, her heart broken. She couldn't cry. Her eyes wouldn't let her. Pastor Tochi adjusted his tie, looked at her and said calmly, Don't worry, I'll take care of you. I still plan to send you abroad though. Maybe Canada or even America. Farida said nothing. He reached into his drawer and brought out a white envelope. Take this for transport and make sure you don't tell anyone about what happened this evening. She took the envelope. She didn't even look at the money inside. She just nodded, picked up her bag and left. That night, she took 3 full showers, scrubbed her skin until it burned, and when she sat on her bed, her body wrapped in a towel, she whispered, God, where are you? She didn't go to the office the next day. She turned off her phone, didn't attend lectures. She just stayed in bed, staring at the ceiling fan, turning slowly above her. Farida kept telling herself it was a mistake. That night at the office, it was just one moment. A moment he would apologize for. A moment he would explain away with a verse from the Bible or a soft word and say, I don't know what came over me, Farida, I'm so sorry. She waited for that apology, but it never came. 3 days passed and there was silence. Then he came to her house. It was a Tuesday evening. Rain had just started drizzling. She was barefoot in her room, tying her wrapper, boiling rice when she heard a knock. Knock, knock, knock. She froze. She wasn't expecting anyone. She opened the door and there he was, standing there like he owned the air around her. Good evening, sir, she said quietly, stepping back. Farida, you didn't come to the office, he said, his voice soft, calm, too calm. I had lectures, she answered. He stepped inside without waiting to be invited. His eyes scanned the small, dimly lit room. The bucket by the wall, her lesson book scattered on the bed, a half-eaten plate of rice. He pointed to the bowl above. Why don't you have light here? The bulb blew yesterday, she replied. So this is how you are living now? He asked, half smiling, half judging. I'm managing, sir. He nodded, sat down, crossed his legs like he had all the time in the world. Come and sit down. Farida didn't move. Her heart was beating too loudly in her chest. Farida, he said softly. Come and sit down now. Are we now strangers? And just like that, her body obeyed. She sat. He assaulted her again that evening. He didn't ask. He didn't even shout. He didn't touch her like someone seeking permission. He touched her like someone who already had ownership. Like her silence meant yes. Like her gratitude was a transaction. She didn't fight. She just lay still. Still like a girl who had learned that fighting back only leads to deeper wounds. Still like a body trying to escape from itself. When he was done, he stood, adjusted his shirt, smoothed his collar, then looked down at her. You're lucky, Farida, he said, almost casually. Do you know how many girls would beg for the life you're living? Farida said nothing. Not because she agreed, but because she was too hollow to speak. Don't worry, I'll pay your school fees by Friday, he said, leaving. That was how he started. Every few days from then, he would come. Sometimes after court, sometimes after office hours. He would bring her food, sometimes perfume, a small bag, necklace, clothes, shoes. Then he would lie beside her, tell her how God had brought her into his life, call her his peace. And each time, Farida would lie on the bed and leave her body. She would count the cracks on the ceiling. She would whisper to herself, it will soon be over, don't worry. She stopped praying, stopped picking Chioma's calls, and sometimes even skipped classes. She just sat there, eyes open, lips shut, and body still. Her wrapper was half slipped, her face was blank. He looked at her again, not like a human being, but like a trophy. Then calmly, as if he was talking about the weather, he said, you know, if this our thing is going to continue, I need to know that you're with me 100%. She didn't answer him. He chuckled under his breath and shook his head. Farida, I pay your rent. I pay your school fees. I bought that phone you're using. I gave you a future. The least you owe me, is to at least agree. He walked to the door, then turned back. Okay, let's not pretend. I've done more for you than all your parents could have done. Still, she said nothing. He stepped closer. See, if this thing becomes difficult, if you ever try to say no, I will stop everything I've been giving to you and I will collect all the things I've given you. He let the words hang in the air. You know what I can do, Farida. That night, Farida couldn't sleep. She turned to the wall, called into herself like a child and just breathed. No tears came. But something else began to rise. Not anger. Something quieter, something more dangerous. Clarity. He came again 3 days later. This time she didn't resist. She didn't even move. He used her and left without saying much. It became a routine. He would come, text, I'm coming over, make sure you're in. He would sit down, eat if she cooked, then reach for her like it was part of the agreement, like she was part of the furniture in the house. And after every visit, she would bathe twice, sometimes 3 times, scrub herself onto her skin turned red, then wrap a towel around her chest and sit at the edge of the bed, crying silently. This happened for months, until one morning. Farida had worn her black trousers and a white blouse she liked, the one with slightly flayed sleeve. She always tucked in when no one was looking. She made it to class on time, took her usual spot beside Chioma, right by the wall where the fan made a loud buzzing sound but gave the best breeze. But today, something felt off. She couldn't concentrate. Her head was spinning. Her stomach churned like she hadn't eaten in days, even though she had forced some rice in before coming to class. Midway into the lecturer's voice, she placed her hand gently on the desk. Chioma glanced sideways. Farida, are you okay? I'm fine, she whispered. Just a slight headache. But Chioma wasn't buying it. Your eyes are red. Your eyes are red and you've been putting your hands in your mouth. Do you want to vomit? No, Farida said, sitting upright. I'm just having small nausea. Chioma raised an eyebrow and leaned closer. Babe, go and check yourself. Oh. These days, even headache fit be hepatitis or malaria. Or even, she dropped her voice and smirked playfully, or even pregnancy. Farida forced a weak smile. Abeg go jare, which one is pregnancy? I'm just saying all these symptoms flying around anyhow. Just go and test yourself. Rule everything out first. It wasn't funny to Farida, not even a little, because deep down her heart had already started pounding. And so that afternoon, she walked into a small lab not far from the school gate. The lab attendant was chewing gum and scrolling through his phone. What do you want to test for? He asked. Pregnancy. He glanced up. Okay. After they took out her blood, they asked her to wait outside for like 30 minutes. Each second felt like a year. When they finally called her name, her palms were sweaty. She walked in slowly. Her legs felt like paper. The attendant didn't look up as he handed her the results. She took it with both hands, walked out, stood by the lab wall and opened the paper slowly. 2 words jumped out at her like a slap to her face. Pregnancy positive. Farida didn't know how long she stood there. Everything became quiet, too quiet like the world had paused, just for her grief to echo. She walked home slowly, each step heavier than the last. When she entered her room, she didn't switch on the light. She just locked the door, fell to the floor, and let her heart break. She cried the way you cry when you're trying not to scream. The kind that cries from the stomach, from your spine. Why me? What kind of life is this? What did I get myself into? Hi, is it just because I want to go to school? What did I do? What did I ever do to deserve this? She thought of school, of Chioma, of the look she would get with her big tummy roaming around the school, of her dreams, and worst of all, she thought of him. For a whole week she didn't leave her room. She barely ate, didn't pick calls, didn't reply texts. Chioma came to knock once. She pretended she wasn't home. But by the 7th day she sat up, looked at the mirror, looked at her belly, and she knew she had to do something. That day, she took her bag and walked out of the door. She was going to see Pastor Tochi. She didn't know what she was going to say, but she didn't care. It was almost 10:45 a.m. when Farida stepped into the law firm. The air smelled like fresh paper and floor polish. The receptionist, a slim girl named Ife, looked up from the desk and smiled. Long time, oh, Miss Farida. Good morning, Farida said, her voice soft. How are you? We there, oh. Now you we know they see again now. She pointed playfully. Hope school never swallow you, oh. Farida smiled faintly. School almost did, though. Another staff, a junior lawyer named Chijoke, passed her by, joking as usual. Fine girl, you don't show. Where have you been hiding since? Farida chuckled lightly. It was strange how life outside her body still moved like nothing had happened. Is Oga around? She asked. Yes, he came in not too long ago, she replied. He is inside. Farida nodded. Let me go in and see him. She paused the office door open. He was seated at his desk, head bowed over some files, glasses perched on his nose. When he saw her, he looked up surprised, then smiled too quickly. Farida, wow! You finally remembered us. She didn't return the smile. Good morning, sir. Morning, dear. Sorry I haven't been around though. I went to Lagos for a pastor's conference. You won't believe the power in that place. The sessions were, I'm pregnant. There was silence. Just like that, the air changed. He blinked. Yeah, what? I said I'm pregnant. He leaned back slowly in his chair like he was trying to swallow the words. Farida, you better stop joking. She reached into her bag, brought out the folded test result and dropped it on the table. He stared at it, then picked it up. His face changed. Fear flashed across his face. Just for a second, then it hardened. So, what do you plan to do with the baby now? Her voice cracked. I don't know, sir. You don't know? He raised his voice. Farida, you can't have that baby now. She looked him straight in the eye. Didn't you know I could get pregnant? His mouth dropped slightly, then he slammed the table. So this is all you have to say? Eh? This is how you repay me after everything I've done for you. I picked you up when you had nothing. Nothing, not even transport to go home. She said nothing. Her eyes didn't leave him. Young lady, let me remind you, he said, pointing at her. I'm not just anybody. I'm a pastor in my church. In fact, I was recently made a bishop. If a word of this nonsense gets out, Farida, I will not only deal with you spiritually, I will mess you up physically and legally. I will make sure you rot in prison for the rest of your miserable life. I will bury this story so deep, nobody will ever believe you, not to talk of raise you out of that cell. He leaned across the desk. So if you know what's good for you, remove that baby immediately. Farida didn't move. She didn't shout. She didn't even cry. She just stood there looking at him, as if he was finally seeing the real man behind the pulpit. Then quietly, she turned and walked out. That evening, Farida packed her bags. She looked around the small room one last time. The bed he once sat on, the plate he once ate from, then she walked away. No goodbyes, no tears. She called Choma. Choma, please, I'm looking for where to stay. Can I stay with you for a few days? Of course, babe, you're always welcome at my house. That night, Farida slept on a mattress beside Choma's bunk. And for the first time in weeks, she didn't feel safe, but she felt free.